Niicugniaqa, Nunakilili.
When I was a young boy, my grandma would sing songs to me, songs that she composed and also songs from back home. She would explain to me these different motions and what they mean, what the song is about. And after that, I turned into like a rebellious kid. You know, I didn't want anything to do with songs and dances. I just wanted to play basketball, I wanted to go out skateboarding. But it wasn't until I was 10 years old where my grandma, she took me out to Alailefaleula for the first time. And out there, I got to experience dancing from back home. And I just immediately fell back in love with dancing and singing. And a couple years later, my grandma, she took me back out to have my first dance, which is a pretty powerful experience for a young one, because it's kind of like introduction into dancing where you are pretty much the main spotlight and you do your first dance, and after that you're able to dance with the group or in public.
My name is Darin Au. I am a composer, educator, and guitarist from Honolulu, Hawaii. I'm here in Anchorage, Alaska, working on a project thanks to the Augustine Foundation for their grant to connect students to the indigenous music of their area. We have the privilege of working with Andrew Weaver, Yupik composer, singer, and dancer, with his original song and connecting guitar and ukulele to his music. I think this is a really good opportunity for the students, for us, for Andrew, because we get to make these cultural connections. Andrew, with his very deep background in Yupik music and being a part of his heritage and his culture, and then taking some ukulele music and guitar music, classical guitar, a little bit of blues guitar, and placing it beneath Andrew's chanting just brings a lot of these different cultures together. Anchorage is a multicultural community. There are people from all over the world, different ethnicities living here, and I thought Hawaii was a big melting pot, but Anchorage definitely is another one of those places in the world where people can live together and, expose each other to their different backgrounds and to see more commonalities between us rather than differences.
The song has a pretty short history. It goes back to late 2023, where I got to perform with a music group known as Bamya. And they were singing this song that I really enjoyed. The song that they were singing was about this young boy playing with Tonka trucks. And he was really happy, and hearing that just made me really happy. And inside of the song, Niicugniaqa, Nunakilili, I'm listening and I'm very happy. And I was watching them because they were dancing the motions to it, and it made me even more happy. Niicugniaqa, Nunakilili, Niicugniaqa, Nunakilili. So I'm listening and I'm really happy. And with Yupik songs and dances, you typically repeat lines if the composer wants it that way. And then Danka kaurna hangala nilo. I'm watching them and I'm more happy. And then this is just a filler motion. Well, I guess you can, I was watching them while they were on a stage, so you're dancing on the stage and it makes you really happy. Angla nilo atuch pagalrenga. So Angla nilo atuch pagalrenga. I'm having a lot of fun while I'm trying to sing with them. There's really only one instrument, and that's the jaoyak, or the drum. Traditionally, it would be made out of steam-bent pieces of carved-out driftwood. You take your strip, you carve it down nice and thin, you then soak it in water for about a week. You take it out, put it in a steam box, and then traditionally, our drummers and singers would take that strip of wood behind them and bend it and tie it down so that it holds shape. Yeah, then the traditional material for the drum part would be made out of the walrus stomach, seal stomach, or the liver membrane of a whale, whether it's a beluga whale or a bowhead whale. Some modern substitutions for the material, as you saw in mine earlier, it's made out of ripstop nylon, but there's also drum makers that utilize airplane fabric or tent material. I recently got into using a material known as Oxford, which is another outdoor utility material.
The way this project came about is I reached out to the Alaska Native Heritage Center and I connected with Caroline Wiseman, who is the Director of Cultural Programs. And she pointed me towards Andrew Weaver, a musician, composer, dancer. And he chose a few of his songs that he thought would be maybe good for this project. And he sent me a field recording. He was playing a drum and singing, and I listened to it and I thought this would be the perfect song for us to incorporate some guitar and ukulele with. So I listened and I studied the music that he had sent me, and I also listened to some other Yupik music just to get a wider background. And I interviewed Andrew and I asked him what people think about combining other elements, other music from around the world with traditional Yupik music. And he said that people are open to it. You know, it is a way of exposing the music to other people, maybe youth of the area, but also people around the world. And so it is a movement that is happening where traditional Yupik music is being combined with hip hop and rock. And so we're trying it with some acoustic guitar and ukulele.
We have the group known as Bumya. It combines traditional Yupik song and dance with funk. And they've been a really big success since the mid to late 90s. And we've also had a couple of individuals go pretty mainstream with Byron Nicolai or Martin Paul. And Yupik people, they tend to really like this kind of stuff. It's come a really long way, actually, because they've got followings not only in Alaska, but also in the lower 48 and also international as well.
Caroline. My Inupiaq name is Ulapingang. My English name is Caroline Wiseman. I am Inupiaq, Hawaiian, and Tsimshian. I belong to the Gunhada Raven clan, and I'm the Director of Cultural Programs at the Alaska Native Heritage Center. I oversee basically our cultural and education programs that deal with healing, education, the things that we share with the public in our, cultural tourism realm. And I work heavily with our youth in providing opportunities to have access to culture, language, art, dance, games, things like that. When I was younger, I was very tied to my Hawaiian culture. So I've been a part of a halau since I was 7. And our halau had done a project with the Anchorage Symphony and the Alaska Native Heritage Center. And that's how my mom learned about the Alaska Native Heritage Center. They had a high school program at the time. And my mom told me that I had to go, and I just had to try it for a week, and if I didn't like it, I didn't have to go back. And I participated in that high school program. I loved it. At the time, you only needed 32.5 credits to graduate, and I graduated with 39.5 credits because of how many hours I put into that program. So that's where I started learning about Alaska Native culture, way of life. Dancing in particular was a big one for me. So I really credit that moment when my mom made me go, because I kind of made us think about it. I didn't want to do it, and I'm really glad that I did. It's really put me on a path for everything. I've known Andrew for a very long time. I've known him since he was a kid. I was a kid. We were kids. And I've seen him grow as a leader and as a composer, and I've seen his whole process from learning songs and dances to creating his own, and to be able to provide an opportunity to share about our Alaska Native way of life and dancing, but to be able to provide an opportunity for Andrew to grow in that realm I think it's immeasurable, the experience that this project is going to bring to the musicians that are participating, to us that are, coordinating and working through it and collaborating together. It's a really awesome thing.
Here at the Alaska Native Heritage Center, I'm a community advocate for a program known as Niicugniaqa program, which in the Yupik language translates to be in motion. We go to various shelters in the Anchorage area and we provide artist workshops, and we also provide either a snack or a full meal when we do have breaks. But really, my focus is to collect all of the data that we get from these workshops, put them into our system, and I'm also there to provide any type of paperwork that people may need, whether it's applying for WIC, applying for SNAP benefits. I do have a dance group that I helped create, and it's known as Niicugniaqa, and that means People of the Mountains Dance Group. So it's actually a borrowed name, so we were given permission to utilize that name from a past dance group that used to be known as Niicugniaqa. Yeah, and so we started back in December of 2022. And we've gone to various dance performances, such as for a play, also just for the Native community. We've also been to the Alaska Federation of Natives Koyana Night, and also most recently was the Festival of Native Arts up in Fairbanks. In terms of getting the community together, the dance group is mostly made up of Alaska Native youth, not only Yupik, but also Athabaskan, Tlingit, Inupiaq, Sugpiaq. We just kind of gathered together because most of us we met here at the Alaska Native Heritage Center, and we sing, we drum, and we dance for them.
My name is Mari Hansell. I'm a Inupiaq and Yupik. My family comes from Shaktoolik, which is near Nome, but I live here in Anchorage today. I used to dance when I was really little, and then my family moved away to Kodiak, where there's not a lot of Yupik dancing. And then when we moved back here when I was around 14, and then I started working here at the Heritage Center, and I got back into dancing that way.
My name is Patricia Peters. I started off as a summer intern here about 3 to 4 summers ago, and they do traditional dancing on stage as well as NYO, so I started practicing off of the stage, and then they welcomed me on stage, and that's kind of how I got started.
My name is Peter Griggs. My auntie's been dancing for a really long time. She dances with Chuna McIntyre, who's a really big name in the Yupik community. And when I was young, she would always teach us some of his songs. And it wasn't until summer 2023 I really got back into it, and learning songs from like Asi Kayayak and Andrew as well.
To me, it means like a sense of community. Normally when you dance, you do it with other people, and it brings a lot of people together. Usually at like our dance practices, the age ranges from really, really little kids to our elders, so I think it brings community together.
It's so much fun, and a lot of people when they dance, they just kind of go through the motions, but it's really important to connect with your ancestors when you're doing it. Yes, it's fun, but it's also important. It's important work to understand the difference between just dancing and what really goes into it. So for me, I always try to really be as respectful as I can with learning songs and teaching songs, and drumming and singing and dancing is all very important to us, but also we need to recognize who has ownership of the songs, who created the songs, and it's important to just be very respectful.
Dancing to me, it's very important. It connects me to my culture. I did not grow up with my Yupik family very much. I grew up with my other Native family, we're Tlingit. So working here and dancing really helps me feel that other part of me and helps me embrace it, and it encourages me.
I had a moment at Arctic Winter Games where I was listening to this group of athletes speaking in their native language, and I am unable to do that. And a lot of people in our country are unable to speak in their indigenous language. And that was a big moment for me to realize that there were people who can, and the importance of that, and the importance of the development of that. And I bring up language because that really is, it is your way of life. It is your way of thinking. It's a mentality. It's a mindset. And all of that has been developed over thousands and thousands of years. And if that is gone, now what? And we're in this state of, if it's gone, then what? Doesn't matter if it's language, art forms, dances. For me, songs and dances were not, I don't know any from my village, and I don't know if there are any that come from my village because they don't do it there. But I have been able to practice culture through dance from other villages, and that's a continuous process of learning and knowledge, and continuing that on is so important. It's not just a personal duty, but it's a collective community duty that needs to happen. And I can do my part. And something that the Alaska Native Heritage Center really focuses and strives on is ensuring and working towards making sure that everyone has access to their culture. The pressure on that and the motivation also, and the reality is that a lot of that is leaving. And that knowledge, if it's not passed on, it just stops. So we have to work to preserve and strengthen that, to be able to provide that access to everyone. It's honoring those who came before us by passing on the knowledge, but also honoring ourselves by being who we are and practicing that and sharing that and educating others on who they could be too and who their ancestors were before them.
We're still pretty young into revitalizing and taking back our culture, but one thing that I would really love to see is getting our Yupik speakers, or just our Alaska Native speakers, like to get more quantity with that, teaching it in the homes, and also, you know, gathering recordings so that we can hire teachers to speak it in the school system.
The vision of the Alaska Native Heritage Center is Alaska Native peoples and cultures respected and valued. This goes back to one of our founders, Paul Tiulana. He wanted a place that built an opportunity for people to practice Alaska Native way of life, but also for people to learn. I think that this just helps to fulfill that dream that Paul had in regard to teaching about our people and about our culture in an avenue that others can hear and connect with. I think another area of that is for Alaska Native people, and this is something that Paul said, was our songs and dances are our history. Our drum is our heart, it's your mother's heartbeat, and you have to follow what you learn and what you practice with love. And I think that's something that's really cool about this project, is that it provides this opportunity for multicultural collaboration, and that this song, it's not an old song. It's new. It's not just the accompaniment that you've created with it, but this is a young adult who has a passion of culture, and he practices culture through song and dance, and is happy to do so. And that translates into any language. So I think that's what this project does so effortlessly.